Well, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to another episode of Breakfast At. We are here with Sonja Glory.
Sonja Hernandez, Sonja Gloria Pottery.
Sonja Hernandez and Sonja Gloria Pottery. And we are at Josiah's Coffee House and Cafe. I want to say thank you for joining us today. This is an awesome opportunity. I have had the opportunity to get to know you being on next to you at the farmers market, which has been an awesome experience in its own right. Before we dive in, I wanted to ask, if there was one meal that reminded you of home, what would that be?
Oh, wow. That one's hard. So, funnily enough, like growing up with my Mexican side of the family, I was really picky. So I only ate like buttered tortillas.
That's a
which were actually really good.
Yes, ma'am.
And then my mom's side of the family, my grandma would make like a taco salad. So it's kind of a funny.
Okay.
So not real Mexican food, but it was very good. And so that was something I love that my grandma would make. And then second, or maybe first, would be, we did not call it this, but I have conversations with people about this. So my mom's side of the family, they're from Milwaukee, like the city back in the day.
Yep.
And in that side of the family, growing up, like eating raw hamburger meat was a deli, like
really?
Like at family gatherings and
like
stuff.
Like a pate, or like a actual raw.
Yeah, you ate it with crackers, or my grandma would make sandwiches. It wasn't like something you ate every day. It was like a specialty.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was. I think everybody seasoned their own, but I actually really liked it as a kid.
What would you say the preparation for that was? Because I under the impression that eating raw meat, especially beef, would be concerning.
My grandma always told me you want to like go to the butcher and buy like the really quality like fresh cuts.
I see.
I've done some research nowadays. People suggest like freezing it for 2 weeks or something like that. Ahead of time.
So it's not ground; it is whole slabs, and you are cutting it down as little strips.
It is no, it's ground.
It is ground.
It was ground.
Okay.
Yeah.
That is unique. Is there a cultural significance to that?
I don't. That side of the family is like German, Irish, Polish, and so I don't know specifically where that came from.
Still, that's pretty wild.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd still eat it too.
That's awesome. No, then that's another one. Tartar. Yeah, thank you. Because I was like, I know there's another. That's amazing. Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that. That's yes. I love learning, because again, breakfast for me is a significant part from my childhood, and it is something that, like my grandmother, tortilla española, flauta, and huevos rancheros on the occasion because of the traditional Hispanic cooking. So I do
love a good chorizo, egg scramble, some tortillas like that.
There's not that is home for me. See, and that's okay. That's wonderful. Well, I do want to dive into more of the depths of a lot of your pottery, your ceramic work, and some of the foundations and origins I think maybe have some significance. Your grandmother's house was clearly a silent teacher towards your love for fine crafts. Can you describe some of the unspoken lessons about life, creativity you absorbed from her environment that still guides you today?
So I spent a lot of time with my grandma when I was a kid. She was really into crafts. So I grew up in the mountains of North Carolina, but they're from like the Milwaukee area. And when she moved there, she also did her own crafts. Like she painted, never professionally. She did a lot of cross stitch, things like that.
Right.
She met a lot of craftspeople and even worked at a local like little gallery in the little town that I grew up in. So I was just like always surrounded by craft. Her house was full of like handmade craft. There's a famous woodworker that I grew up going to his house. He would carve birds. Yeah. His name's Etzel Martin. He's like in the Smithsonian.
Etzel Martin.
He was a storyteller too. So if you're not familiar with like North Carolina storytelling, it's a huge thing.
No.
And so like going to his house and sitting on his porch and having him tell these dramatic mountain stories was pretty amazing. And then as well as his birds and people that he carved, and then his wife made these beautiful wooden flowers.
Yeah.
So it was a balance in being surrounded by arts and crafts, learning to make arts and crafts, because she also taught me to she tried to teach me to cross stitch. I didn't have enough attention span for that.
That's fair.
But basket weaving, we would just dabble all the time
Right.
on things, and then also being in the woods and surrounded by nature and mountains and creeks and
North Carolina for sure.
mountains,
oh
yeah.
wow, yeah. What are some memories of the outdoors that you have in North Carolina?
I mean, as a kid, we just played in the woods. If we were at our grandparents' house, we played in the woods all the time. It didn't snow very much, but even if it snowed a couple inches, we had this run back in the woods that we would just slide down. It wasn't really sledding because it turned to mud. So it was just like a mudslide down to the creek. But it was great.
That's awesome.
Growing up in the woods I wish I could get my kids that. It's the best.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
When you look back on the many objects in her home, is there one that is significant that even today holds a piece of you?
I don't, she had a lot of antiques. I'm trying to remember. I definitely liked, she had a lot of jars and lidded vessels, and they always had little treasures in them, whether it was candy or other little trinkets that she picked up. I think her brother had lived in Iran and stuff like that, so he would send her little things, and they traveled a little bit. And so it was finding those sorts of things. She had a bunch of Red Wing pottery, the big ones she would make tables out of.
Red Wing pottery. What is
That's based in Minnesota, so you'll see people that have their crocks that people actually used to make sauerkraut in, so you can get 50-gallon crock. They're huge ones.
Wow.
And then you can get little ones. They're very in good condition. They're kind of a pricey nowadays.
I see.
And so let's see what else. She had a giant ornate grandfather clock I liked a lot. Most of it was all handmade. There was, being from Wisconsin, there was a lot of duck hunting and stuff too, which is probably more my grandfather. I'm trying to remember. I can't think of any one thing, probably except Etzel Martin's carvings and things like that, just because they were so, I knew him and I knew his granddaughter, and it was such a big part of my life, and they're beautiful. They're realistic, especially cardinals or the bird of North Carolina.
I see. Yeah.
So realistic.
So maybe not so much from the grandmother, but being around her gave you the influence of the people in her sphere.
Yes.
That's amazing in its own right.
Yeah.
What? How has that connection influenced your identity as an artist?
I have a love for functional art, and I think that really comes from her and where I grew up, because craft is a huge thing. So I have a degree in professional crafts. It's a 2-year community college degree, and I want beautiful things, but I want them to be used every day. I love all kinds of art, but art that just hangs on the wall doesn't touch me quite as much as art that you get to put in your hands every day.
I believe I have a question that's going to come back to that.
Okay.
But describe the first moment you felt a visceral pull towards ceramics.
Oh, this one's easy. My school was small. I think total, my high school was 900 kids or something. So we didn't have a ceramics program.
Your entire high school?
My entire high school.
Oh, wow.
So my graduating class was probably 300 or something like that. We didn't have a ceramics program, but me and my art teacher were pretty tight, and I took a lot of art classes. She had wheels, but it had to be hey, will you teach me how to use this? But she wasn't actually very good at it either. I also didn't ever want to do it because cleanup is very substantial.
Yes,
and I didn't like to clean when I was 17. So finally one day when I was 17, I was hey, I want to do this thing. And she was okay, here you go, But she wasn't that good at it, but I really wanted to make a goblet. But if you've ever done pottery, a goblet, a chalice, a wine glass, it's not easy. It's 2 parts. It's 2 different that have to fit together. And so I sat down at the wheel. and I messed with it. I don't even remember what I made, and I was just hooked. I was like, I need to do this more. And actually, my pottery teacher helped me find a class and even helped me pay for it, like out in the community. Like she paid for half of it. Yeah, she was great. Yeah.
What do you think that moment revealed about your deeper need to create?
I've always had a need to create ever since I was like very little.
It's been there.
Whether it was just drawing. I'm not even that great at drawing, doodling, just always working with my hands. I remember, so I don't know if you ever ate Wonder Bread.
The white bread.
Yeah.
It's yes.
So if you play with it, it's all, like it'll condense into this like putty clay type thing. So I even remember playing with it as a kid and putting it in bottle caps, and like it'll come out like the shape of whatever.
Oh wow!
So it's like anything and everything. Was always art. It was always creating.
I see. I see. It's there. Simplicity and functionality are clear values in your work. Mm-hmm. But what complexities and or conflicts in your own life do you find yourself wrestling through your ceramic practice?
Really, the complexities would be just time management and things like that. It took me a long time. Well, I had small kids, especially when I first officially started my business in Wisconsin.
Okay.
And it's like balancing your life, balancing your work, balancing your kids, balancing your health. Like, so it's all a balance. And then when you work from home, you get pulled even more. Right now, my studio's not at home anymore, but it was for a long time. For me, it's just time management, probably executive function. But hopefully this is true for everyone, but I've gotten a lot better over the years at like focusing, putting my energy where I need to, learning new time management skills, things like that.
So I'm curious as your perspective on this, because having a studio that used to be at home, I imagine had some significant impact on the amount of work that you were able to do, and maybe even your focus towards it. Did having the separation of home and studio create a substantial difference in your productivity in that, or did it stifle? What did that help in your creative?
It's hard to know exactly because like kids get older and things like that too. And I'm actually eventually hoping to move my studio back home in the next couple of years.
Wow.
We'll see if I can make enough money just making pots. Right now I teach in my studio too. So it's hard to know. When my kids were little, it was making pots in between, or like usually at night after one kid went to bed, you know. But then they'd still come down and be like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I think it has been really helpful to have it not be in my house now. But now that I've gotten older, maybe wiser, I think moving it back home would be nice too.
So for this endeavor, at least in regards to pottery, you would see a greater significance having it closer to home.
Yeah, that's where I'm moving at this point in my life.
It's awesome.
And it's also cheaper, hopefully.
That's fair. And I guess I can only imagine ceramic work is significant in its buy-in, and
it is a big upfront investment, and then just finding space. So I was really lucky when I got here that so Erica Billion owns my building.
Awesome. Yes.
And they were lovely. I didn't meet them at first, but they wired my kiln in, which is a huge deal. So that was a huge.
She has been a substantial figure in the arts being supported out here. I had the opportunity to work with, or at least have a space provided as an artist at where Queen City Bakery and our wine bar is. There's that studio right in between.
Right.
And it was an available space. Didn't have to pay for it. You just showed up and signed a paper, and for however many months you wanted to use it, it was there.
Nice.
And it was the first time I had ever experienced that level of support for artists to be able to present their artwork in a way that it was in a space that I thought was really significant. It's a beautiful location.
It's a beautiful space.
And it was like, oh man. So it's awesome that you have that kind of support there too.
I have the same experience. Yeah, I'm in the building next door in the basement, and it is her support in that way has definitely helped me get where I am today.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
As going into lidded vessels, you have your lidded vessels evoke a sense of the unknown. Describe some personal unknowns like fears, dreams, or mysteries that you channel into these pieces as you shape them.
The fear in the world that we live in now, I feel like you could really just hold on to that for a long time and keep going. I want to phrase it in hope maybe a little. Like I hope that mostly fears, when you have children, like that's where most of your fear is. Not that like that like the world isn't going to be what it needs to be for them. And so I guess that's my fear, and my hope is that they get to live in a world that cares about other humans. So,
I can respect that,
yeah.
and I appreciate hearing, because sometimes that is one of those significant perspectives I think we have is when we miss the opportunity to dive in and make the connection, we miss the opportunity to ground ourselves in the truth that we are humans and that we all have our own experiences that, are valid in their own right. And I think that artistry is a great way of describing and sharing that in its own, but
I can't remember what the other topics of that question were. So it was fears.
Yep, dreams and mysteries.
In my work.
Yes. Yep. When you shape them, what are those things that you find yourself putting in?
Really, when I make my work, it's like we talk to each other. Literally sometimes.
and I imagine so. Yeah.
But there's a spark. So like a lot of people can make a mug. Yeah. But is it gonna like speak to you as the maker or other people? And that's what I'm going for. Like I want things to stand on their own. I love that. One thing I love about craft is that when you're making, you're putting a little piece of yourself in everything that you touch. Especially when it comes to craft. And so you're kind of like putting it out there for other people to take.
Yeah.
And enjoy, hopefully. Like your spark or your creativity or your magic, so to speak. So, yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. How has your relationship with ceramics been reflected in your own growth, particularly in moments of self-doubt or transformation?
Nothing is certain in ceramics until even once it comes out of the kiln, you could break it. And I think that's the thing in life. You can't be too much of a perfectionist. You can, but it's really hard to get started. Thankfully, that's not my problem.
That's yep.
But I've seen that in my students. I think just learning that, like the impermanence of things, it's very meditative work. It's very. I feel like hands-on work is very meditative in general. So if you got to be prepared. I mean, I listen to audiobooks and things, but you got to be prepared to do some repetitive tasks. I'm really into. There's this author that I really like, and she wrote this book called Big Magic, and she talks about it's for writing, but it's all creative. But she talks about every career, every profession, everything has a shit sandwich, and you have to what's the shit sandwich that you're able to eat.
Yeah.
Because everything has something that you're not going to like.
Right.
And you have, what are you... Her example was, lawyers have to work for 80 hours a week. Can you handle that 80 hours a week? If not, then maybe that's not... For her, it was rejection letters. That's just, pile them up and just keep eating it. But some people can't handle that. And so the book is really amazing. But I'm carrying that with me, too. There's always going to be some bad things in whatever you choose to do.
How many times can you eat a shit sandwich?
Yes, yeah. And for everybody, it's different. It's different flavor.
Right. That's funny. Can you recall a time when someone's reaction to a piece revealed something unexpected about your own intentions as an artist?
I think there's good and bad reactions. One time, this was years ago, I used to go to this World Music Festival. It was maybe even before I had kids. It was before I had kids. And my friends owned this coffee bus that I would work at.
Okay.
And I would sell mugs at the coffee bus. And one time this woman came and got a mug. And her son was autistic, I don't know if he was verbal or I don't know a lot about it, but there was this one interaction. She was like, "My son loves this mug.
Yeah.
Like this is the mug that he wants to use all the time, every time." And it was like so beautiful to me. I was just like, "Oh, that is." But it's that unspoken magic of what people can perceive that others can't, or like put value in it. I don't know. It was a really beautiful time.
So it goes to show that there are the values in things are unique to each person.
Yeah.
And I have to say, without gushing too much, I love the different unique personalities that you have in the different styles you create. I mean, I'm caught a lot of times looking over at your booth and seeing just the different colors, the gradients, the styles that you present, and at times I'll see and I'll watch how other people are engaged in what draws them. Because I want to tell you, I'm grateful. I still hold it dear. The little cute little mug that you had provided me, it is probably one of the most significant. It's right next to Gary Punt's, and it is like I cherish it because to me it is weirdly enough it resonates with my artistry because it looks like an 8. And I don't know if you had done that intentionally when you gifted it, but it was such a connective thing for me that I'm like, I look at it and I cherish it a great deal. And it spoke to me, and I didn't even choose it. And so that was, I can only imagine when people are able to show up there and they see it, and it's awesome to see that.
That's great.
At what events have you found these reactions most significant?
I don't know. You probably more fine arts and crafts shows. I used to do more of those, like traveling. You get people who are a little more invested sometimes. Sometimes at like the farmer's market, you get the people who are like, it's too expensive.
Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah.
But like, preferably they wouldn't say it to you out loud. I did have one lady come to the farmer's market last year, and she was like, I saw your work a year ago. I wasn't financially in a really great place, and I promised myself that when I would come back and buy a piece. And so it's just little things like that, like, because we are all humans in this world trying to make connections, trying to like survive the best we can, and I just thought that was really, really special.
I didn't, I again try not to go too far to that, but the relationships that I think we are able to establish with people, I think I've expressed this with you in regards to some of the places or some of the farmers markets. A good day isn't my sales as much as it is the people that I get to interact with.
Right.
And I imagine that's similar in your way. The things that you provide and offer are substantial, and even if a person isn't purchasing or buying, you get to have a conversation. You get an opportunity to share your craft and tell your story.
Yeah, it's true.
So, your ceramics aren't just centerpieces, but practical everyday use vessels. What do you hope people using them feel in those quiet everyday moments?
I imagine it's, for me, especially in the past, I would hope that they take a minute, like when they're having their coffee, and like just like sit with themselves, with the world, with the beauty, like look out your window. That's what I try to do at least a little bit once a day, and so I hope that that's some of it, or at least it just brings them a little bit of like extra joy or happiness in their everyday life.
You have provided a space in some way that allows someone to sit and be present in that. In a world that often values mass production, what personal sacrifices or convictions do you hold to stay committed to the slow, tactile art of ceramics?
I'd rather have less money if that's how it has to be and pursue my ceramics than get some sort of job in the corporate world, or even that's mass produced opinion. It resonates with my soul, and my husband understands that. He's the same way. I'm not on this earth to like hoard money and make a bunch of money. I would like to survive, and I'm doing okay. But I want my life to have a little bit of purpose, have a little bit of helping people, touching people, like whatever that is, even if it's just through art. I would rather have that than like a big bank account when it's all done. More
of like it because to me it feels like labor of love. Not that it's difficult. I mean, it has its difficulties.
Yeah.
But your efforts are for the craft itself and the significance that each piece that you create hold to the people.
There's that, yeah. There's a little bit of ego there. Like, I really love when people love my work and they're like, hey, I want it. Oh, so it's...
Yeah, no, that's fair. And, weirdly enough, I think for every artist, that is, to some degree, some of what we pursue, We want to share some of our artistry, our perspective, our identity in that way. Mm-hmm. And hearing some praise does kind of,
helps.
Gives us a little bit of motivation and drive. That's fair. That's fair. Do you think there is a line there where it becomes overt egotism towards a craft, or do you think that there's, as an artist, where's that line that we walk? Have you found it?
I think I'm there, but I'm also not a super famous artist. I think any artist, any person who is on a bigger scale seen and heard has to constantly check their ego, or you become like probably what you didn't like at some point. I feel like that's some of our problems with the world. I think we all have to. I hope I can balance it. I am very confident in myself in general in what I do, so maybe some people would take that the wrong way. But I know in myself, like, that's not where I'm coming from. So.
And I don't know if it's just people who are not engaged in artistry, but I feel that there is a necessity to have a level of confidence in the work that you do.
Right.
And almost by proxy from just the work that you do, you gain confidence in the ability to create. With us, and we are still diving in. We're going to jump into some more explorative questions in this regard. As you plan to expand online, what fears, concerns, hopes do you have about sharing, and how are you looking to hold that connection to the soul of your work?
I've had to get used to communicating better online. in the last couple years in general, I just got like 10,000 followers on Instagram, which isn't a lot, but for me is like a huge milestone.
Yes, ma'am.
I've had to get more comfortable communicating with people online, and like, even it doesn't come natural to me, like little chit chat, but when people are like, oh my gosh, I love this, I have to get like, okay, what do I respond to that, you know, like, but genuinely. It's really important to me to be authentic and genuine. I do worry a little bit about the criticism one gets when you expand more into the world of online. I haven't really had a lot of those issues, but I know it could be a little daunting to have the whole world watching. I don't really want to be like super famous or anything. I'm just trying to make a living doing something that I really love. So.
The eyes and the scrutiny is different in a small town versus a global scale. And I hear it does get a little bit more difficult and can be rugged, but again, I guess, what do you find your efforts towards keeping that? So you're saying communication is what you find is probably the most the key in keeping that essence of your work is just, hey, this is my...
I think communication and authenticity, like, this is me, this is what I do. I'm not trying to pretend to be someone else or pretend like I have skills that I don't.
That's right.
I think that's, mostly where I'm at.
Okay.
Did you say dreams, too? Like,
I mean, that as well, certainly.
I think... I love that pottery and craft in general with social media, it has made it easier in some ways for people to be found. And I do love that connection in a way. I made a friend, like they live in Portland or something. We like message about pottery or just like being cheerleaders for each other. The pottery community overall is actually really supportive. We have a conference every year.
Okay.
It's one of the best things in my life, actually, because being surrounded by so many people that get what you're doing. It's very great.
Nothing like a community that supports the things that you love because they're dedicated to that itself. Oh, that's so cool.
I could go a little deeper if you want about fear.
Please.
So this is multiple layers, but I do worry a little bit because when I was young, so the young artists, the young potters coming up, it was pretty common when we were young for us to look at like other women who are my age now and be like, oh, they have money and they can just pay for these things, or they can like, and now that I'm here, I'm like, I know what I've done to get here. And I understand where I was at that time, and I understand where these young people are at that time. So I do worry about that a little bit. People are like, people who don't know where you come from can be, or like understand that, like, especially women's lives.
Sure.
Maybe these women had kids or did other things, and then like finally when they're 40, 50, 60, like they can go do their own things.
Right.
So speaking to like my younger self and the other younger people in the world, like, could just give us a little bit of grace, like and we'll give you some too.
Well, isn't that a story that the youth don't understand the struggles that they will go through, and we are able to enjoy the fruits of our labor later in life, and somehow the struggle is missed or not appreciated, even though those are the things that have allowed us to be in the places that we're at.
Yeah.
And life is, growth takes struggle. Growth doesn't come without struggle.
Yeah.
And when you grow enough to, I guess, appreciate that, perhaps that's where we get to the point where we can look back and say, well, that's probably why I felt that way at that point, because I didn't know anything.
I didn't know any better.
Didn't know any better at the time. How has the chaos or uncertainty of the current world circumstances seeped into the way you shape clay or envision your art's purpose?
I think it just makes it even more important to make those connections, to help people find a little peace, or even through my classes that I teach. Like, I think working with your hands is so important. even if it's doodling, it doesn't have to be art. It doesn't have to be something you're selling. But I wish my wish for the world is that everybody finds something that they like to do that involves like your hands.
Yeah.
Because it's something that we're losing in our modern age especially with the phones. I have this theory. I've never asked a scientist that humans have evolved over the millennia to use our hands to create things, and these phones trick our brain into thinking that we're doing something really great and we're doing this important thing, but then in the long run it's just creating anxiety for us. And so finding even like small amounts of time where you're just like spent 10 minutes a day like just doodling. Even reading is better than I mean, I do think reading is really great, but doing something with your hands, even cooking, like just finding some joy in those small moments is very valuable, and I think will help our world overall. As far as like what I make, I generally make things that just bring me joy and hope that they also bring other people joy. That's kind of my goal. So occasionally I brainstorm work that might be a little more political or like spark people's interest or like just make them think a little deeper, but I don't always.
Are there works that you have taken the time to envision and create specifically for environments, for specific concepts that you want to share? Are there pieces that you have that are?
Not currently.
No? Okay.
Not currently. I have some thoughts, but mostly it would be a little. What's the word I'm looking for? It would be a little obvious.
That's fair. That's fair.
Putting like. I mean, I need to make a sign for my yard, but like chingala mingra, like on a mug or in my yard or things like that. At least that one, not everybody would know what it means. So
that's fair.
It's also a balance in being in South Dakota. It's because the market is my biggest form of selling my pottery. I don't try to hide who I am, but I can't like alienate everyone either. Like it would be.
I can respect that.
Yeah.
And that's, I think, the interesting line we walk as artists is how do I communicate what I'm feeling? How do I communicate my ideas without outing other people who may not feel the same but still appreciate the work? And maybe even get people involved in a way as best as we can without, just pushing people.
It's a struggle too, because sometimes people who are obviously a little more hateful like have bought my work, and part of me is like, I don't think you deserve it. Like, but maybe they need it. Maybe they.
Right. I can respect that. I respect that. What's a moment in your life when ceramics became a lifeline, helping you navigate a personal or existential challenge, and how did that shape your philosophy?
I mean, definitely when we moved here, the reason I set up my studio. We had lived here for a year and we were renting a house, and I looked at I do other things to fill my desire to create, but it's not the same. And so one day I looked at my husband. I think I said, I need to make pottery or I'm going to literally die. And he was like, okay, what do we need to do? Because I didn't have my studio set up. I had all my equipment, and so that's when I found my space, and that definitely... the first couple years were hard because South Dakota is just a whole different. Finding people and finding my community and my customer base was harder than I thought it would be, because I was already established in Wisconsin, and I thought it would be a really easy transition to just here I am, like, don't you all want to love me and my work? But it was not that easy, and so it was humbling, to say the least, and then just having to reorganize, find my customer base, which the market did beautifully.
Awesome.
It was a huge jumping off point for me.
Wonderful. You described You describe vessels as carrying magic and opportunity. What is a specific vessel you've made that felt like it held a piece of your own unsolved story? And would you be willing to share some part?
A couple of years ago, this is two-part. I've been making these big jars that have these really beautiful tops to them. So it's a jar, and then it has a lid, and the lid has this ball on top.
Okay.
And on top of the ball is this really large spiral. So one reason I like them, so if you're into the arts and crafts movement and like old arts and crafts houses, do you know what a newel post is?
No.
So it's like the bottom of the staircase where you might put your hands to walk
the
up.
last base or the beginning part?
Yeah.
Where it's got like that little knob at
the knob. But sometimes in really fancy arts and craft houses, they were very decorative.
I see.
Carved or things like this.
Okay, yes. Yep.
And so I really, sometimes I just make things, I don't have an idea, I just have a desire. It's like, this needs to look like this.
I see.
And so that's where that came from. It was like, okay, I want this ball.
Yeah.
And then I want it to go beyond that. And I really like the spirals because I get to pull them, these really long pieces of clay.
Yeah.
And then I spiral them up. And so it's like complicated, but like the statement piece too.
I see.
I just love, and then jars in general. I am a little like fantastical thinking, magical realism. So it's almost like all those little kids' books. It's like the cupboard or like under the stairs or like you open it, but what's in there? And this goes back to my grandma too, like finding all those little trinkets and boxes in her house. It was always like, ooh, what's in there? I'm just nosy too.
Yeah, the effort to go and seek and find and explore, and you have these little things that you've been able to kind of dive into. I love that about your art, that it does feel like it is a place where you can find unique things.
Yeah, and very tactile too.
Tactile is awesome.
Peek in,
Yes. How do you reconcile the imperfections of your ceramics with the imperfections of yourself, and what has it taught you about vulnerability?
I think the nice thing about selling at the market is like people can see the imperfections if there are some. Well, nothing's perfect anyway.
Indeed.
And then usually they like it anyway. I feel I have a little bit of hesitation to put things online that aren't like perfect because I don't want to send. They haven't been able to hold it. They haven't been able to like see every aspect of it, and I hesitate to send it to them, and then they're going to be like, "Oh, this is bad," and then they're going to mail it back to me. I think it's if you just as a human, or for me, if I authentically just put myself out in the world, then my hope is that like people will accept me for like even with imperfections, even with none of us are perfect. Like we're all just trying our best.
And well put, because it is. I think that's the coolest part about artwork or the pursuit of it is you do recognize at some point that there's no effort. Why am I trying to seek perfection when there is none? And as you had said, almost all the time people are appreciative of the imperfections because that maybe even, and if nothing else, a reflection of themselves that they get to see in the artwork that you've been able to provide to them, and it speaks to them for that reason, which is probably one of the unique parts about some of the things that you do is, oh man, they're all very unique and just stand out by themselves as just singular pieces that I think do deserve their own opportunity to be seen and acknowledged for what they are. What is a ritual or habit in your creative process that feels sacred to you?
Some of them are silly.
Fair.
I don't usually buy, like even at home, sometimes we splurge on like canned bubbly water.
Okay, yeah.
But in my studio, I allot myself one a day. It's like my little reward.
Before or after?
Somewhere in the middle.
Okay, no, I see, okay.
It's like I showed up. I am here. I'm working. I get my
deserve
little
this.
yes. The other one would be usually kiln gods are a thing.
Okay.
Everybody has their own or like their own idea of what that is, but
Understood.
so in pottery, there's no. Some people can get it down to a science, but sometimes your kiln misfires, sometimes it underfires, overfires. So you say a little like you look at your kiln one last time before
Say
you
a little
leave.
prayer for you.
Exactly. You're like, okay, I don't have. Some people actually create little figures that they'll put on top of their kilns.
I've seen this before.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't have an actual figure, but I will like say a little prayer to whoever wants to listen. Like, let's just all go well.
Yeah.
I don't know if I have any more rituals. Trying to think. Just getting in the right headspace is important. I do listen to a lot of podcasts and sometimes watch TV and stuff like that. Yeah.
Have there been times that you've seen those rituals not provide, or have there been times where the outcome hasn't been what you were seeking? How did you approach that?
So that happens all the time in pottery.
Okay.
Like I'm a little clumsy to be a potter, honestly. The other day I broke a handle, but it happens all the time. You get used to it.
Okay.
So it would be one of those like lessons in pottery. Like you just get used to the loss, the impermanence of anything. The kiln, I can't hold it against the kiln gods when things don't work out. It's probably my fault or like equipment failure. So it definitely doesn't work out sometimes. It's usually never a whole kiln load or something like that.
Okay.
But that's just part of the process too. You just have to get used to that. I don't think I've had any grand failures, like my studio hasn't flooded or anything that big, you know. Well, okay.
Yeah.
Our studio, so in Madison, Wisconsin, I was part of a guild, and this was a big thing in my life because Madison has it's the Madison Potters Guild. And they, for like 40 years, they had a firing facility, so big gas kilns, which are really nice to fire.
Yeah.
It's called atmospheric firing.
Okay.
You get a lot more beautiful. It's not necessarily more beautiful. You get different results than you will in an electric kiln. It's like wood firing and salt firing.
Yep.
It's not raccoon. That is also very cool. So this firing facility, I started. I joined the Madison Potters Guild. I started firing with them. I started doing shows. Then a couple years in, we had some issues. The city came in and was like, "Hey, we want you to upgrade this," but they actually made us put metal flashing on top of our kiln, which transferred the heat to the roof, and there was a big fire.
Oh no!
And so we couldn't fire. We had two kilns, and everybody had to scramble because I wasn't quite at the stage where this was my full-time profession, but some of them were, and it was a big moment that we all had to just pivot, figure out different options, solutions, and things like that.
Wow.
Yeah. Just resilience. Taught me some more resilience. Not that I need a whole lot more, but
No, but resilience is I think it's a persistent teacher, honestly. As you look towards the future, what impact do you see your work having on the many people who have already started collecting them?
I just hope it brings them joy. I got a really lovely message recently, and someone had passed away, and apparently they had collected a lot of my work. And they asked me if I wanted it back, and I was like, and I didn't really want it back, but my suggestion was you can give it back to me, and I could auction it off and donate the money to like some sort of art group, or they could do that and donate it to some sort of art group to auction off, because that feels like the best option. Like that person loved my work, and you can like support other artists. Yeah. I'm always amazed at the people that do collect my work. There's one lady that comes to the market every week, and she's just the sweetest lady, and always gets, maybe not always, but gets a little piece. Yeah. I have a handful of like families that also support my work, and in ways that I could have never dreamed of. And so I'm greatly appreciative of that.
That's... If you could craft a lidded vessel that to hold truth about yourself that you've never fully expressed, what would that truth be, and how would that vessel design reflect it?
Wow. I have some grand ideas for pots. I don't know if this would be quite a lidded vessel, but the where I grew up, this tiny town called Black Mountain, has this beautiful downtown, and there's this really old building. I hope it's still there. I think I looked it up recently, and it's still there. And it had this woodworking on the front. It was all these colorful, like big wooden spheres, and they went up each side of the door. And I don't know if they went off the top, but part of me wants to like take that and run with it and make these clay spheres that can stack, either to make an arch or stand by themselves. I have some like grand ideas that would like be purely artistic. I don't know if it would technically be a vessel. Technically it would, because they would stack and you could put things inside of them. Yeah. As far as like parts of me I don't share with the world, I'm pretty open, and if people ask, like, I'm pretty honest, for better or worse. Yeah. Like hopes and fears about the world. It's
truths about yourself.
Truths about myself that I don't share, or
if
that
any.
I do.
And you know, and maybe that's something I think is unique in that is it. You know, you being as vulnerable and as authentic as you are, you know, it's possible that the truth that you wear on your sleeve inevitably is broadcasted through the designs of your work. And if nothing else, I think that is a testament in its own right to, one, the confidence that has come through the work and the efforts that you've gone through, the processes, but also perhaps, if nothing else, the appreciation that other people find in your work. Because I mean, again, as a recipient of a piece, I sit and I look at it and I'm just in awe of it. I can see the detail, I can see the effort that has been put into it, I can see the creative expression and, you know, just the care and, again, the confidence to be able to create something like that. Because, I mean, I look at it, I'm like, you know, how did you do these things? I can critique it, but in the end, I'm in awe of it, and I'm grateful for it. So I guess for me, it's just, you know, seeing if there is a design or something that you have yet to produce that is something that maybe is the what do you call that, the opus for you.
You're making me think of like truths and things like that. So like, or design. I think my personality, like I am a very like genuinely nice person, but like all people, it's we have parts of our personality that we people don't see as much. So I can be very harsh if I need to be, if I'm like protecting myself. It doesn't come across very often, but like I will protect, or like verbally, I'm not like beating people or anything, but like I will protect my children and things like this, and I can come across as like I have a really great death stare. Yeah.
I've heard all moms do.
And that's probably a part of me that people don't realize, that if I'm pushed far enough, I will like stand up for myself. I am very like strong-willed in that way. But on the flip side, I'm also very soft in like a way that people don't probably see as much too. And so in that, like in the realm of pottery, it probably is all encompassed in that, and like what I make, and it probably all comes through in some way, or just knowing me in my professional, like I'm really good with boundaries. Some people don't appreciate that. It's probably all encompassing as far as like, I don't know, I do have ideas for pieces, but it's hard to find the time. So when you're making a craft
Yeah.
regularly, sometimes it's hard to find that time to invest in those more personal pieces.
I see. Yeah.
I'd be rambling a little.
No, it's okay. Sonja, thank you so much for the time, and I'm grateful that I've had this opportunity to dive in with you. As a fan, as somebody who is at the farmers market with you every season, and doing the thing that we do, it's awesome to kind of dive further in and really get an understanding to the story. Because I had always been interested, and just looking at it from afar, I've always been like, I would love to know more. Because the style, the work that you do is beautiful. Clearly, the effort that you put into it it shows and it shines through its own. And I'm just grateful to say that I have a piece. And I look forward to seeing more of the growth and where you go. And and support. And thank you guys again for joining us on another episode of Breakfast At. As always, we are in the efforts of deepening the human connection, one meal and conversation at a time. And it's opportunities like this that we have to be able to kind of connect and give flowers to the people who are out here doing the good work. Whether it's artistry, whether it's personal exploration, book writing, any of it. We're all out here doing the best we can to make those connections with people, to share a piece of ourselves. It's not easy, but we do our best. So thank you guys again, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
It's awesome. The exploration of it is always a good time, and